If you're in the nonprofit world, you know you're doing incredible, life-changing work. But you also know that in a world of data-driven donors, that raises a really big question. Right? Your nonprofit does amazing work. We know that. But how do you prove it? How do you go from just saying you make a difference to actually showing it in a way that's both powerful and totally believable? Okay, let's get into it. To answer that, we're going to build a really simple but super powerful framework I like to call the impact pyramid. Think of it as a four-level guide that'll take you all the way from the ground floor of storytelling to the very top with solid, undeniable proof. So every good pyramid starts with a strong base. Let's begin with level 1, the foundation. This is all about storytelling and engagement. Why? Because before you ever get to the charts and graphs, you've got to connect with people on a human level. You know, this quote just nails it. It comes from the Phoenix, a fantastic nonprofit that helps people recover from addiction. They say, get your supporters, clients, and staff involved. It's so true. Real quotes, real photos from the people you serve, that's what makes your data feel real. It grounds it in human experience. And here's how you do that really well in practice. You've got to use dynamic visuals to keep people engaged, to keep them scrolling. You want to put a face to the facts, turning what could be a dry statistic into a story someone can actually feel. And of course, stay consistent with your style so it always feels like you. A great tip is to break down your impact by program or region. It just makes everything so much easier to understand. The big takeaway here? Start with a story. Okay, so a great story is absolutely essential, but it can't stand on its own. Which leads us to the next logical question. How do you back up that amazing story with hard facts and build the kind of trust that donors and partners are really looking for? Well, that's where we climb to level 2, the framework. This level is all about transparency and accountability. It's where you build the structures and systems that prove you're a trustworthy, well-run organization people can believe in. And a fantastic way to do this is through established platforms like Candid. Their seals of transparency are basically a roadmap for building that public trust. You can start at silver just by sharing basic info about what you do. Then you level up to gold by opening up your financial details and showing who's in charge. And finally, you can hit platinum by sharing your big picture strategy and your key numbers. Each step is like a public statement saying, hey, we've got nothing to hide. All right, so we've got our stories, and we've built a framework of trust. Now we're ready to climb even higher, to level 3, the insight. This is a huge leap, you guys. This is where we make that critical shift from talking about what we did to proving what actually changed because of our work. It's about measuring what truly matters. And that brings us to, honestly, one of the most important questions a nonprofit can ask itself. Are you measuring your activity, or are you measuring your impact? Because believe me, they are two very, very different things. Let's break this down because it's so important. Outputs are the things you did. It's the countable stuff, right? The number of meals served, easy to track. But outcomes are what changed because you did that stuff. That's the real-world difference, like the percentage reduction in food insecurity. You see the shift? Outputs are about your effort. Outcomes are about the effect. And outcomes are the real prize. Now, here's a great way to organize your thinking around this. It's based on a framework called results-based accountability. You can measure 4 key things. On the effort side, you've got quantity, like how many parks participated, and quality, how well did they run the program. Then, on the effects side, you measure the quantity of change, how many people felt more connected, and the quality of that change, what percentage of everyone involved felt that way. See? This gives you a much richer, more complete picture of your impact. And that, my friends, brings us to the very top of our pyramid, level 4, the apex. This is the highest level of proof. This is where you go beyond just measuring change to rigorously, scientifically proving that it was your program and nothing else that caused it. The key tool for this level is something called a theory of change. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's basically the blueprint that connects your day-to-day activities to the big outcomes you hope to achieve. Think of it as your master if-then statement. You know, if we provide after-school tutoring, then students' grades will improve, which will lead to higher graduation rates. It's your hypothesis for how you create change in the world. So once you have that hypothesis, how do you test it? Well, that's where rigorous external evaluation comes in. There are independent systems like the What Works Clearinghouse, or WWC, whose whole job is to look at the evidence from studies and determine if a program really truly works.
And the WWC has super clear standards. A study can meet WWC standards without reservations. That is the gold standard, the highest stamp of approval you can get. It can also meet them with reservations, which means it's a solid study but maybe has a few small limitations. Or it can not meet standards, which basically means the evidence just isn't strong enough. For major funders, getting a top rating from a body like this is everything.
So we did it. We climbed all 4 levels of the pyramid. Now let's take a step back and look at the full impact picture and see how this all comes together. And there it is, the whole thing in one place. You start with the foundation, a powerful human story. You build on it with a framework, earning trust through total transparency. Then you gain real insight by measuring outcomes, not just your outputs. And finally, you reach the apex with undeniable proof from rigorous evidence. Each level supports the one above it. It all works together to create a complete, compelling story of your impact. So, I'll leave you with this to think about. Where is your organization right now on this impact pyramid? And more importantly, what's your next step up? Because at the end of the day, proving your impact isn't some final destination. It's a journey of always getting better.